I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe. In this episode, we discuss crossing over. We will talk about near-death and out-of-body experiences people have had during brushes with the other side. We will also discuss what the transition into the spirit realm looks and feels like to many people. With your hosts, Joe and Christy, and special guest, Bob from Exit the Matrix on Facebook.
I have a question, Bob.
Yeah.
I think it was from Dolores Cannon teachings that, and I've heard this around, in the communities, a lot of people saying, oh, I reincarnated from, I was Cleopatra, or I was, some famous character, Abe Lincoln. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Cleopatra is the one that comes up all the time. So Dolores Cannon said that before you incarnate, you can kind of go and get like a fractal of information, like an experience that a life had, and you can take that with you. It's like you weren't that being, but you can get like a piece of knowledge and bring it down here. So when you get down to earth, you have like a little chunk of Cleopatra or Isis or Abe Lincoln. And then a lot of times that gets a little muddy because, you're doing a past life regression. You have like a connection to that historic character. I don't know. I mean, it kind of made a little bit of sense. Have you heard this before?
I haven't heard that explained, but I do believe that could be true. I've been from a psychic friend of ours that still lives in Colorado. She did a reading on me once, and she brought up that I have some kind of a connection to the Egyptian god Thoth. Hermes, the Greek god, the god of wisdom. And I thought that was really interesting because my wife, she's a Reiki master. She doesn't practice currently, but she used to have a practice back in Colorado. And one time she did she was doing a Reiki session on me. And I was just laying there enjoying it, because my wife's very talented at it. And it was really odd because all of a sudden she started talking to me. She's like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but I've never had this happen before with somebody." She said, "But it's really weird." She said, "Right now we're like in like some kind of like underground, it's like stone building or something." She said, "It's like big stones all around us and it's kind of musty in here and dark, but there's a table and there's a light at this table, and there's this guy, he's sitting there writing on a scroll, and he's got this weird headpiece sitting by him on the table." And my wife doesn't know anything that much about Egyptian mythology or anything, but she was perfectly describing Thoth. And she said like he basically just looked up and looked at her, and I don't remember exactly what he told her. I wish I did, but it was something along the lines of like he's doing what he needs to do. There's knowledge he needs to spread, and that's the path he needs to take. And that's essentially what our friend, the psychic in northern Colorado, what she basically told me too, that Thoth told her. So that was weird. I mean, up until about 5 years ago, I really never had any much thought about Thoth, Hermes, but for whatever reason, I think there could be some kind of truth to that. Maybe there's Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, maybe that's it. I'm not saying that I was Thoth or Hermes in a past incarnation, but for some reason I have a connection with that, spirit or deity, you know.
It's an interesting concept, and it would explain why so many people that I don't think are nutty, they're walking around saying, they were famous people in a past life, but there's only one person that might have been that, not, hundreds or thousands, but possibly, with that concept, you could take a little piece of an experience, like an essence of the soul that, or part of the life. I don't know. I don't know how it all works, obviously, but it's an interesting concept. So,
Or perhaps maybe you get to take like a fractal of what they learned here, what they knew, I guess, or experienced. And it's maybe a little bit, you take a little fractal of that, like to kind of design your own personality when what your personality on earth is going to be. I mean, essentially I think our consciousnesses are unique, but we probably do have some kind of variations in our personalities in the human avatar when we incarnate,
oh, for sure.
you know.
It's the library of memories or whatever from Harry Potter. And they take their wand and they fold it out. And it's just a fragment of a person's life, a little memory of that person's life. And
Well, hey, think of it this way, guys. We want to talk about like maybe something like that. What about video games? Like, like first person role playing games, where you get to choose from like maybe a wizard character, like a swordsman, an
Yeah.
archer, all these, or like a cleric, or something like a healer. And then within those like classes, there's subclasses, like maybe this cleric will be more for healing, this cleric will be more for like doing like, spiritual attacks. Or so perhaps when we set up our human avatar, um in a little bit of a way, we get to kind of line up this avatar with certain little, I don't know, like personalities or traits that we, just
Powers,
like when
life.
like when you build like a video game character up,
Yeah.
you never
I've
know.
heard you could pick your body too.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Yeah. Your health, all that, because you're supposed to experience like all these different aspects of life. So sometimes you die early, sometimes you live a long life. Sometimes they call it exit points,
Yeah.
here on earth, like where you'll have near death experiences and you can choose, you're going to exit there. No, you're going to go on. Okay. Then your next exit point comes up maybe 15 years later. Do you want to exit or not? Maybe yes. Okay. Then that's it. You head home, but maybe you want to go even further, or maybe you didn't fulfill your soul contract. So you come back and you continue on, who knows? I've never had a out of body experience like Joe had, or like my aunt had, but there was one near death experience, or let's just say it would more than likely been a death experience if it had played out a certain way. um I was working in Boulder, Colorado, back about, I don't know, 7 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. I was a store manager at a grocery store up in Boulder, and I was running the overnight crew. And I got off one night, or I got done. It was like the end of my shift. I would do like a 4 on, 4 off, like rotation. Like it was like when I was on 4 on, it was like all I did was work and sleep. That was it for like 4 days. But then I would have 4 days off. Well, that first day after working overnights, I would try to stay up all day. you know, and try to kind of flip it back to a day schedule for a few days. Well, there was this a manager meeting in Denver, Colorado that they wanted some of us managers to go to. Well, my choice was go that morning when I got off my last day of my rotation after working a whole 12-hour overnight shift, or else I was going to have to come on one of my days off and go down to Denver for a meeting because they were having like a meeting every other day or something, you know, and they were all during the daytime hours. So I was like, well, I'll just drive to Denver and I'll go hit up that meeting, and that way I'll be free and clear, right? So, anyways, I go to this meeting. I mean, I've been up for at this point 16 hours over after 4 days of overnights. I mean, I was like really drowsy, tired, whatever. Um, I got out of that meeting. I almost fell asleep like probably 10 times during that meeting. And anyways, I got out, I started driving. We lived about an hour north of Denver. And so I was on I-25. That's the main road corridor going up north and south through Denver. And I was in northern Denver, and I was heading up I-25. I was in the middle lane of the highway because you know, it was like that one lane you knew because two lanes would go off to the left, off of you know, off of the exit. These two would go that way. So I just wanted to stay in the middle so I didn't have to keep switching lanes, you know. And traffic sucks really bad in Denver, just so you know. But anyway, and this was in the morning, like around 10 a.m. Well, anyways, I'm sitting there, I'm cruising. I'm actually doing okay, even though I'm tired. I'm doing fine. I'm not gonna fall asleep or anything like that at the wheel. But it was really odd. I remember I was going about 70. The speed limit's pretty high in Colorado, so I was going probably 70, 75 on I-25 in the middle lane, 5 lanes wide. And all of a sudden, ahead of me, I start seeing all these cars just going like that. And I couldn't see anything though, because there was a big truck in front of me. And so like a pickup truck, not like a, you know, box truck, but it was still big. I had a little like Hyundai Elantra, so I couldn't see around it. So I was like wondering what the hell's going on, but I was boxed in my lane. I couldn't go anywhere. So all of a sudden, in front of me, that truck swerved, and I seen finally what was going on. It's the weirdest thing, but right perfectly in the middle of my lane was this huge piece of furniture.
Oh,
I
no.
mean, it was like a giant like armoire or something,
Jeez.
or like, yeah, it was huge. It was like 6 foot tall. It was like 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide, perfectly standing up in the middle of the lane. It must have fallen off of the back of a truck, and it just like somehow landed it standing up. It was so, I mean, it was almost like somebody just placed it in the middle of the lane. Well, here was the problem I had. I was like boxed in. I had nowhere to go. I'm going, this thing's coming up in front of me. And I didn't know what to do. So I panicked. I hit my brakes because my idea was like, okay, I've got just enough, you know, length. I think I can hit the brakes and I can stop before hitting this thing, even though I knew that I don't know what the traffic was going to do around me and behind me, but I couldn't just go right through that thing. It would have jacked me up. So I hit the brakes and I come to a dead stop, and I miss this thing by like 2, 3 feet. But here's the crazy part. I look up in my rearview mirror because I thought there'd be cars stopping behind me. A freaking semi is jackknifed, and it is just sliding right at me. I mean, it was like in a movie. You look up and it's just like all I can see is this freaking semi jackknifed, and he's just smoke flying up off his tires, and he's straddling 3 lanes, and I'm right in the middle, and it's just coming right at me. And at that point, man, I just freaking whipped my steering wheel. I freaking gunned it as fast as I can. And at the last second, I escaped that. And I just remember, like, I was going like 100, just going like up I-25 until like the adrenaline kind of went down, and I finally slowed down. And like to this day, I don't know if there was an accident, and I hope I wasn't the one that caused that, because I didn't know what to do. But oh my God, that was like crazy.
It was in Normal in the middle
Like,
of the highway. It wasn't you. You were
yeah. So at this point now, I kind of, when I think back to that, I'm like, that could have been my exit point, or one of my exit points.
Very well.
But it never came to the actual wreck and maybe being in the hospital and going to heaven and having that choice to come back. But there must have been something in the spirit going on there, that I made that choice and I escaped that split second. But it was, to this day, I just never will forget that. Just in that rear mirror, just seeing that semi with the smoke just coming, sliding right at me. It was just insane. So, anyways,
Whoa.
thanks for putting up with that.
Oh no, that's crazy. So walk me through, okay, so you die, you go up to heaven. What do you go through a tunnel, you think, or how does that work? Because I've heard people say they woke up and they were like in this primordial ooze and all these things were slithering around. I've heard all different types of accounts. Is there a regular path, or you think we're all like on different ones? How does it go for somebody?
So I think once again, it probably depends on your own unique experience to a certain degree. But most of the ones I've listened to, they say you're either in like a big void, where it's like you're in space but with like no stars, and you're just like, you're not really touching ground, you're just there. It's like, it feels like you're standing, but you're just in a void. And then they say a lot of times, like, you'll be in this dark area, and they say it's not scary though. It almost feels like being back in the mother's womb, that people explain it like the mother's womb, like, but they say it's comforting, it's not scary, but it's all dark. But then they say what'll usually happen is you'll catch out of the corner of your eye a pinpoint of light. And as you like focus on that light, all of a sudden it's like, I don't know if the light gets bigger or if you go towards the light. And then that's similar to what people explain as the tunnel, you know. Um, I have heard some other variations. I've heard some where people just literally, it's just like snap of a finger, boom, they're already in the spirit realm, you know, and or they're already there with their spirit guides, maybe some family members, or some have even just gone straight to the life reading, and they're without going through that process. So I it's weird because it's like it's similar for everybody, but it's always kind of tailored to each person, you know. So makes you wonder if when you draw up that soul contract, if you also draw up what your transition will be too. And that can make sense why it's like, yeah, why you have to go through those specific steps, but how they're always tailored to the person individually. That could be maybe why that is. I mean, I'm very analytical. And I always try to, connect or reason why something is the way it is, because just hearing so many experiences and trying to figure out, well, why is each person's experience a little different or tailored to them individually, but yet the main things like the soul, or the soul reading or the life reading, is similar. The having like the family members or spirit guides or Yeshua, come and meet you and guide you, is very similar. But yeah, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you guys. I mean, that's just kind of my rationalization, I guess, of that. And I know that's crazy because in the spirit realm, my rationalization here probably doesn't mean much over there, but you know.
So my title might be a beach with a dog.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's a nice-
yeah. I mean, yeah, because some say that they'll all of a sudden they're in a garden, you know, they're in a on a grassy field, and it's one thing that is interesting though, you know, similar to how you explained it, Joe, like how intense, how that light had a feeling and everything, the sun, how it was just slightly maybe more intense than even here on Earth.
Yeah.
That's what people explain too, like when they're on a grassy like field or something. They say it's weird because it's almost like you can see the life in each blade of grass.
Yeah.
It's like everything is so intensely connected and so alive, and everything kind of sparkles and has this really intense light. And there's even colors that you know they can't explain, or shades of colors they've never seen. Um, it's yeah, I don't know. It's almost like Earth is like an imitation of heaven, you know, but not as spectacular as heaven. That makes sense.
Temptation of heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I mean
Little
Earth,
dark
well,
side to it.
A little
and if you
beautiful
think
with a little
about
bit of creep.
well, if you think about the simulation theory, that can make sense, right? If this was a simulation created to teach spirits um you know, duality and experience, you know, the positive and negative and all of those things, love and hate and such, um, then that simulation would be, they would draw off of what they already know, right, in the spirit realm,
Mhm.
but it's a simulation of it. So it's not going to be as intense, as beautiful, as amazing, right? It's like an imitation of the real thing, which makes you wonder because in the spirit realm, you can manifest whatever you need. Like I've heard it, I've been told, or not been told, but what I've heard from the videos from people's experiences is that like if you want a house in the woods, you just manifest it. Boom, you have it. You can share houses with family members on the other side. You can have a giant mansion if you want. You can have a little tree house you want. I mean, you manifest what you want, you know? So it kind of makes you wonder maybe at one time when you think back, you know, if Atlantis was real, the Anunnaki, you know, like the um maybe more spiritually advanced humans that may have been here on Earth in the far past. And you think of all these megalithic structures, and we always wonder how did they build them, right? I mean, you're talking about stones that weigh tons and tons and tons that are perfectly like put together. And maybe back then with the power of the mind and the spirit and manipulating energy and the quantum field, um, there were beings here on Earth that could create these structures and stuff without having to actually hammer away and drag rocks around. They could have just formed them, you know, in the quantum field and then placed them almost like Minecraft or something, you
Yeah.
know?
Manifested instead of built.
Yeah, but for some reason, those that kind of took over control of this realm didn't like the fact that we had those manifestation powers so easily here.
Yeah.
And something must have happened. Maybe it was after the flood, you know, that humankind was downgraded. Our DNA, because you've all heard about
Yeah.
how, you know, how Adam and Eve were way superior to what we are now. And our ages were shortened, our abilities were lessened, our stature was shortened, our, you know, strength and power was lessened here. So maybe that was for the good or for the worse of this realm, but perhaps we were downgraded at least. But imagine the golden age. What if we are able to take back, even in this realm, those abilities?
That would be interesting.
I think some people have the ability more, well, obviously more than others. You know,
Well, what I've heard is when that transition is made, that everybody will come into that. Because here's the thing, yes, in our human selves, our human avatars, there's a lot of us that are almost like NPCs. They're like totally asleep. Just, you know, they do everything they're told. The government tells them this, they do it. Their religious teacher, pastor tells them to do this, they do it. You know, put this in your body. Okay. Drink this. Okay. Watch this. Okay. You know, support this. Okay. Where a lot of like people like us, we've awakened, we've moved beyond that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it goes back to though where we come from. We all have those, you know, that those godlike abilities, you know, that Christ spoke of, that Yeshua taught about, that the yogis have taught about. You know, we all have that. And maybe some of us were just meant to come here to be catalysts, you know. But at some point,
Yeah.
I know some people think that like there will be like a dual earth or something where there will be a higher ascended earth, and then some people that won't change or won't wake up will stay at that lower vibration like existence. I and that could be, but I at least like to think it that all of our brothers and sisters will be fully awakened in their human avatars when the right time comes, you know, that will all, but remember, it always takes a percentage to change. It doesn't take a lot. What is it? What they typically say, like a revolution starts with about 2% of the population, something like that. So it could feel like a losing battle to those of us that are awake and that are expanding our consciousness, when we see so many of our even our own family members or our own coworkers or you know people that we live around totally seem like NPCs, like just sleepwalking zombies through life. But maybe that's the part that they chose to play too, you know. But you got to think of it this way, that you know, in your spirit form, you have complete access to all the knowledge of the universe, to you know, to that love, that source, unimpeded. And I think once that veil drops, it drops for everybody, you know.
I
At least
hope so. I'm with you. I don't think that, because I'm awake a little more than maybe somebody else, that, like, it's not like you're not better or anything. It's just, I think everybody is waking up in their own time. I think for those people, like, I don't judge or put them down in any way. I just, it's their circumstances, or maybe they just haven't pulled themselves out of the matrix yet. And we can only just, like do the good work with your Facebook page. I mean, you're there to support people through this awakening process. And Joe and I as well, we're not getting rich. you know
yeah,
we're putting ourselves out there for ridicule and all the rest of it, but we're doing it because we've been told to. It's like kind of a mission.
yeah,
It's our quest to help. And so
yeah,
you're doing what you can, and just pray for everybody.
yeah. I mean, everybody awakens at you know different times. Um, I mean, I think I was lucky that I had a father that was really big on like you know he's like, if you want to learn the Bible, read it yourself, you know, study it yourself, you know. He was really big on like free think, you know, thinking on your own, researching on your own. Obviously it's good to study from others, but you also want to do some of the work yourself, you know,
Yes.
because just like with anybody, and everybody has shortcomings, you know. Um, I do so many videos and talks and posts and everything, but some of my stuff's probably wrong, you know. to me, it seems true. I don't try to, misguide anybody, but we all have our own shortcomings. And so, you take the good with the good. And when you see the bad, I guess just move on from it, and,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do truly think that this realm is ready for a reboot, you
Mm.
know, and I think that's why it seems like so many things are coming to a head right now. And I do have to say, it does seem like a lot more people are starting to wake up.
Oh, for sure.
There's there's even people at my work now that I'm talking to with them about stuff that 3 years ago, when I first started working there with them, there's no way that they would have even, they would have thought I was crazy. And now all of a sudden they're like, and it's kind of funny too, because the newly awakened ones, it's like they're so zealot too. You know what I mean? They're such a zealot. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's like so new to them and they're so hyped up and they're so hardcore. And it's like, yeah, I know. Since I was in middle school, I was there.
Yeah, I was
You
going to
know,
say, like we all
but
were once. Yeah.
yeah, but it's different for everybody. I mean, but now we have tools that you can reach anybody on the earth. You got the internet, cell phones. I mean, heck, what we're doing right now. I mean, just a show like this, we're not famous people. We don't have a TV program. We're not you know, on the TV dial. We're not on cable, but yet we're able to still reach thousands of people in this just with this technology we have now. Um, there weren't very many people that had that reach. I mean, back in the days, you kind of had to rely on radio shows. It's typically the good stuff was, believe it or not, on AM radio.
Coast to
You
coast.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
coast to coast. Yeah,
Heck
Alex
yeah.
Jones. Stan Monteith. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him. He used to be out of, was it Northern California? I think he was one of my favorites back in the day. But yeah. So I mean, I was lucky enough as a young person to already be researching stuff and to be already getting to listen to some of these alternate views. And so for some of these people, it's just brand new to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess that's great though. We need their energy, and just to keep spreading the word and keep waking people up. It's the compound effect, right?
Yeah.
One and one is two, two and two is four, four and four is eight, and it just keeps compounding.
Yeah.
And that's how it is with social media, unless certain sites try to break that compound effect with algorithms.
Oh, you're being too spiritual, or you might have talked about politics, or God forbid, you talk about medical issues.
Yeah, I know. How dare you? Yeah. But it don't matter how much these people that are aligned with the dark side, or at least maybe not in their mind, but with like transhumanism and all these things that are trying to, it's like they want to. I mean, the human avatar is not perfect, but it is an amazing machine. But what's scary about some of these people is that they believe in an ideology that they want to move the spirit into the AI or the robot.
Right.
And it's just absolutely insane. What I want to see is humanity go back to our roots, go back to those beings that can move 5,000-ton perfectly honed granite blocks and build pyramids and
Yoda.
megalithic. Yeah, I want to go back to those times.
Yeah, Return of the
And
Jedi.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, like Reiki healing and energy work, psychic abilities, all those things that some people awaken to in this world or they learn how to do them. Those things are meant to be natural with us.
Yeah.
Right.
We can do those at will.
Yes.
We've just forgotten as a collective. We've been we've had those ideas pounded out of us,
Hmm.
mentally and physically. Um, the thing though that the thing about the dark side is they know this stuff. The
Yeah.
mystery schools, they know this. They
Yeah.
know all this. They know our abilities. They understand the quantum field. They understand
And they're using
that
it.
that we can manifest, that we can manipulate this realm. And what they do is they trick humanity as a collective to manifest their wet dreams. That's what they do. They when they want all these, wars and all this stuff, what do? They pound it into people, through different techniques, through TV, through
Mhm.
radio, through the internet,
Fear
and they 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 get people divided,
Mhm.
and then they get those two sides at each other's throats,
Yep.
and they're able to manifest their own sick desires through the collective consciousness, through our own creative abilities, because of how they really are dark magicians.
Well, they
What
have
we
the knowledge.
Yeah, they understand how it works.
It's all of
And
our
that's why
ability.
Right. They're just using our abilities against us, using our strengths.
exactly.
Just like
And that's why they don't want you knowing that you're a immortal soul. They don't want you understanding that we come from a spirit realm where we have all the abilities that God has. I mean, we are the children of God. So they had to dumb us down. They have to divide us. They got to put us in a fear mind state. And that's how they control this realm. And that's how they manifest their desires. And that's how the 1% can control the 99%. And if anything, these beings, they probably don't go to back to heaven. They probably have figured out how to transfer their soul from avatar to avatar, and they stay here. And that's how they keep these bloodlines here protected and
Right.
going on,
Some truth to that.
Mhm.
because they the father will always take them back, but they don't want to go back. Maybe they're afraid to go back.
They don't want the reboot.
Um, yeah, but I truly do not think that the ever loving God, no matter how despicable they've been, that he'll blot out their soul. I don't believe that. Now I know many would say yes, they deserve it, but you got to remember, this is the simulation. Like when you go into a video game, say you go play Grand Theft Auto, when you're in that game, you might get a little crazy and you just go beat up random people, you run people over with your car. But it's a simulation, it's a video game. You're not killing anybody. So maybe that's what in their minds a little bit they feel like, well, this is not truly killing anybody, just knocking them back out of their avatars, and they'll come back and we'll just reprogram them again and again and again,
I
you
could see,
know?
I could
And
see it.
the reincarnation cycle you hear about.
Yeah.
And this is honestly really what the Gnostics explain, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry to go off on a tangent.
That's good. It's a good concept.
Yeah.
So I think we'll end it here until next time. We'll do a deep dive on something esoteric and interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We got to do it more, you guys. I love just chatting with you guys. You guys are amazing hosts. And yeah. Um it'd be nice if one of these days we can just, completely shine the way we're meant to without being artificially held down, but it's okay. We'll keep on scraping away and keep going. So
We'll keep doing the good work on Exit the Matrix. We really appreciate all your energy and what you're trying to do for everybody.
Yeah, appreciate you guys and all the amazing work you guys are doing, and being such great hosts. And I got to tell you, a lot of times the comments on our videos that we do together are a lot of people's favorites. They like when we do these, so we got to do them more.
For sure.
That's great. Thanks, everybody.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, you guys have a good night. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Support this channel by visiting asaricrystals.com. Asari crystals are precision cut by Paul Jensen. He uses Marcel Vogel's technique to amplify the crystal. Asari crystals are tools for evolution. They're created for healers and psychics. These are powerful tools that can assist with spiritual growth and protection. Thank you for your support.